Shalom, giving all praise, glory, honor unto Yahweh, by Hashem, Yahweh Shai, by Hashem Rakak Wadash, and that's double honors unto the elders and apostles of Great Millstone that teach us his truth in the spirit and power and the names, the true names of the Heavenly Father through his only begotten Son, Yahweh, which is the Heavenly Father, and Yahweh Shai HaMashiach, the only begotten Son, two separate entities. All right. Peace, love, and blessings unto the elect scattered around the four corners of the earth, mainly in Babylon the Great, all right, which is America, which is going to be destroyed according to biblical prophecy, all right, which we believe through the spirit and power of Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai that the men of Great Millstone have been teaching throughout, the ages 30, 40 plus years coming out of One West. All right, praying that this video be edifying and straight to the point. And Salakia, right quick, I'm about to step to the side. All right, I'm back. But yeah, going into basically, I just want to do a lesson through the spirit and power of Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai, going into the lesson of doom and gloom, end time prophecies, and whatever else the spirit allows me to go through or go to through the spirit and power of Yahweh by Hashem Yahweh Shai. All right. All these damn different numbers. I tell you. Anyway, Salakia. But hey man, let me get the first precept. Let me just read that. This is 2nd Ezra in the Apocrypha, chapter 9 and verse 1. He answered me then and said, measure thou the time diligently in itself, and when thou seest part of the signs past, which I have told thee before. All right, and according to Sirach, chapter 39, or Ecclesiasticus, chapter 39, verse 1, we have to be occupied in prophecies. All right, us calling ourselves the men of the Lord, the potential hopeful elect. All right, the prophets. All right, we have to stay occupied in prophecy. Revelation 19 and 10, if you really truly believe on who the word ignorantly calls Jesus Christ, all right, he's coming by the way of Bible prophecy, man. So Sirach or Ecclesiasticus in the Apocrypha, chapter 39 and verse 1, but he that giveth his mind to the law of the Most High and is occupied in the meditation thereof will seek out the wisdom of all the ancient, dealing with the men of the Lord, the prophets, because that's what it's ultimately about. All right, the Lord is only dealing with his servants, the prophets. Amos chapter 3, verse 7. All right, and us in this truth have to understand that that is the importance, one of the characteristic traits and the importance of serving Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai. All right, as you're serving him and fearing him and holding the laws, statutes, and commandments to the best of your ability, you also have to prophesy. And I'm speaking to the men, all right, that believe in this truth. All right. And yeah, we understand that everybody, is not, built to be a prophet, or everybody is not skilled to be a prophet. But like I say, you got to put forth the effort. All right. That's just, me and my personal opinion. All right. Through the spirit and power of Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai, pursuing the Romans 12, 1 on down to 2, where it says, present yourself as a living sacrifice. You have to, go out preaching and teaching on the highways and byways. Not only that, do your daily epistles, your letters, and your videos, continuing to feed the flock. All right, keep warning the flock of what's about to come. All right, prepare yourself in your mind, in your spirit, and even damn, Salaki. Yeah. But even in the physical aspect, because ultimately, famine is about to come. Desperation. All right, it's about to be a whole great shaking in the house of Israel, like Elder Apostle Tahar, love to say, and that's the truth. It's going to be a major shakeup because majority of our people are not going to know what to do all right, dealing with this MOTB, dealing with Revelation 13 and 16. And even the ones that know, all right, whether they be of the circumcision or of any other religion factor, they still have to make a decision between serving the Most High Yahweh, the true names, Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shah, putting your trust in God, as they would say, putting your trust in the Lord, all right, or putting your trust in man, all right. And most Christians, if not all Christians, they don't understand the prophecy of Revelation 13 and 16. They don't understand none of the prophecies that we're living in today, because, hey, it is now high time to awake out of sleep. All right, salvation is getting closer and closer by the second, pursuing the Romans chapter, matter of fact, and I know I'm all over, so Salakia. Let's go to Romans right quick. I'm gonna read it in the NLT. I think Romans 13:11. Romans 13 and 11 in the NLT. This is all the more urgent, for you know how late it is. Time is running out. Wake up, for our salvation is nearer now than when we first believe. All right, the night is almost gone. All right, the night going into our captivity. All right, the night going into Esau's rulership. All right. And soon to come, the destruction. All right, the great time of testing. All right, sooner or later, we have to go through that, but it's only going to be for a moment, for a particular point of time, to see if we're worthy to be of the Lord's elect. And that's what it ultimately boils down to. It's ultimately about the elect, and only the elect will endure, continue to fight, and receive salvation, even if it means death, by the way of the guillotine, by the way of martial law troops, not receiving of that MARK, resisting. It says the night is almost gone. The day of salvation will soon be here. So remove your dark deeds like dirty clothes and put on the shining armor of right living. All right. Basically come back to the Lord. All right, we have to, we real life have to prepare ourselves. And as it says in 2 Ezra, the 14th chapter, set your house in order. All right, first and foremost, starting off with yourself. And at the end of the day, you can't let nobody take that crown away from you, even if it boils down to you losing your children and your, your loved ones, your wife, or whatever the case, your wives, or whatever the case may be. But that is the harsh reality of it. All right, you have to be prepared to lose all these things. All right, you have to be prepared to see mass death, great destruction. And the only thing that's keeping us stable is the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shah. All right, it's wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. Isaiah 33 and 16, because, it's going to be some troubling times. It's going to be very devastating. All right, very, distressed, or whatever the case. But we have to lean upon the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shah. That's the only way we're going to fucking make it out of here, man. And it's only getting worse because, like I said, you got the talks of gas running out. The American people, they haven't really, truly witnessed no catastrophic shit. Even though they catching hell in their day-to-day life, but you can still so-called go on vacations. You can still take time off to, find yourself, as people like to say. Or just take a breather from life, go to these other different countries, so on and so forth. But once the system shuts down, the power grid is down. All right, no power. Hey, look at a great example of Cuba. All right, they're going through an energy crisis and an economic crisis. Sooner or later, it's going to come to the States. And people know that. And Lord will, I get the videos that I want to, show. Our people are going to have to find out the hard way through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shah. All right, so let me continue on in Sirach, or Ecclesiasticus chapter 39, verse 1. But he that giveth his mind to the law of the Most High and is occupied in the meditation thereof will seek out the wisdom of all the ancient. and be occupied in prophecies. That's what it's all about. Prophecies, man. Okay. So we have to, hey, it's high time to awaken out of sleep through the spirit and power Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai. All right. And this is one of the videos that I'm going to play through the spirit. It says SHTF. The warning has went out. For those of you still trusting in Babylon, you will perish here. And that's going into Isaiah, the 30th chapter. Let me get that. Because our people fail to realize this is not our rest. All right, this place was meant to destroy us due to our disobedience, due to us being underneath the curses. All right, it's just that simple. If you don't believe it, you keep living your life. You keep believing on what you believe in. Because like I said, I'm in real life getting to that point in my life. You don't believe it, hey, good luck, nigga. All right, when all hell break loose, you're going to remember that a prophet been among you, praying that I am of the humble, fearful elect, because, man, I want to make it. I want to make a way out of here, man. All right, that's why at the end of the day, hey, that's part of that fear. That's part of that serving, being a servant to the best of our ability. And yeah, we still, fucked up in the flesh. We still live in this fucked up society and, this and that, the third. But you have to stay in tune with the spirit. You have to stay in tune with Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shah. And just like a video that I seen earlier dealing with Elder Apostle Gabar on his daily walk, he was talking about, the power of prayer. And Lord will I do a video on that, because the power of prayer really delivers you out of all troubles. Ultimately having that faith, trusting in the Lord. Hey, the Lord got my back no matter what, man. No matter how fucked up I am, or no matter how much of a jam I get into, the Lord got me. And even if I have to go through that trouble, hey, the Lord still got me. I'm going to still prevail. And that's just having a positive mind frame, serving Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shah, man. And just like in Hebrews, it is impossible without faith to please the Lord, Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shah. And over here at Great Millstone, we exalt the names, man. All right. Damn sorry ass IUIC, man. That's a sorry ass group. It's just fucking trash, man. Anyway, Isaiah 30:1. Woe to the NLT. What sorrows await my rebellious children, says the Lord. You make plans that are contrary to mine. You make alliances not directed by my spirit, thus piling up your sins. For without consulting me, you have gone down to Egypt for help. All right. Just, substitute that word Egypt to America, Babylon the Great, because that's ultimately what this going into. All right. It's not talking about the old ancient Egypt. It's talking about modern day Egypt, which is spiritually called Sodom and Egypt. All right. You can look up the history of Sodom and Gomorrah, sodomy. All right. And Egypt, which is a Greek word, it stems from a Greek word, which means bondage. All right. A place of bondage. That's it. And America, Babylon the Great, is our place of bondage, not only for the Israelites, even for you other heathens. But the only difference, the main difference, we are God's true chosen people. You are not. It's just that simple. You don't believe it, keep it moving. Verse 2. Continuing on verse 2. For without consulting me, you have gone down to Egypt for help. You put your trust in Pharaoh's protection. You have tried to hide in his shadow. All right. You tried to hide in his shadow, man, underneath his try to receive benefits. It says that also in 2nd Ezra, the 9th chapter. All right. Trusting in the words of the U.S. government, thinking that this place is going to get better, thinking it's going to prosper after a certain time frame. We're just going, as they would say, we're just going through this turmoil for a moment. But DJ Trump got our back. You still got niggas for Trump out here in the world. You still got people that say America is still a great country. Meanwhile, you getting taxed heavily. All right. They making sure that the rich stay rich and the poor stay poor. There's no righteous judgments in the land, which, people don't even know true righteous judgment, because meanwhile, Leviticus 20 and 13 is not being practiced in this land. All right. They the opposite. They give, people, those type of people, rights and privileges to do as thy will. And that's not the way of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shah. That's not the way the Lord set up things, man. This is not a righteous kingdom. Okay. Even though the Lord, don't get it twisted, he create both good and evil, but he favors good way more than evil. All right. The evil is set for an example to bring judgment or destruction upon a nation, all right, upon an empire, whatever the case may be, upon an individual person. All right. And that's why the Lord gives certain people to that mind frame, because he really wants to judge them. And even dealing with Captain Tazariak, he had like he couldn't answer that question. It was a while ago, dealing with the Sarnetta, podcast or whatever, dealing with do God, basically make homos or whatever the case may be. In a nutshell, the Lord put that demonic spirit on certain individuals, and if anything bad happened to them, like molestation, grape or anything like that, hey, as harsh as it's gonna sound, the Heavenly Father ordained that shit to happen, man. All right. That's why that shit don't happen to every and anybody, but a selective few. All right. And the Lord put them in that situation to either bounce back from it, repent and live their life in righteousness, or live their life in wickedness. All right. So on and so forth. Verse 3, Isaiah 30:3. But by trusting Pharaoh, you will be humiliated, and by depending on him, you will be disgraced. All right, you're going to be humiliated, you so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, the Lord's chosen people. You're going to be a disgraced, because this place was destined and is still destined to this very day to be utterly annihilated, destroyed by thermonuclear fire, thermonuclear war. That's going to come. All right, the whole landmass. All right, and that's according to the scriptures. Isaiah 13, Isaiah 14, Isaiah 34, Jeremiah 50, Jeremiah 51, Jeremiah 49. All right, these are all the scriptures that we, via through faith, that our elders and apostles done taught us the true way. So without further ado, Lord will, I play a few clips, dealing with the downfall of Babylon. It's more evident than the times we living in now, man. It's evident, man, and it would behoove you, hey. But like I said, we say at the end of the day, man, it's all about the elect through the Spirit and power, Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shah. That's why ultimately, we care about our people to a certain extent, because we are loving people, but because we're so passionate and we're so frustrated, oppression maketh a wise man mad, Ecclesiastes 7:7, and we see the dumbness and the stupidity of our people. Of course we get frustrated. Of course we get mad and talk shit about the 2/3 or whatever, and we still gonna stand on that. Fuck the 2/3, man. Especially a grimy, low life nigga or a bitch. We do not care. We really don't, man. But we still have that compassion. You know why? Because it's the Spirit of the Lord, Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shah, still trying to have that compassion upon his people. Matter of fact, I thought of a precept just now. Because like I said, man, hey, it's all about the elect. And we know that. And we're not bending over backwards for people to receive this truth. All we're going to do is keep preaching unto the elect, that small remnant, and keep it moving and praying that we endure to the end. It's in 2 Peter chapter 3, verse 9. The Lord is not slack concerning his promise, as some men count slackness, but is long suffering to usward, not willing that any should perish, but that all should come to repentance. And ultimately, that all that's going to come to repentance is the elect. All right. Ultimately, the elect, man. Another precept, like I said, just something through the Spirit. I know it's in Chronicles, 2 Chronicles. We got to get the fuck out of here. That's all I'm going to say, man. Shit trash, It's all right. Hey, it's part of it. All right. That's why our elders and apostles say, hey, you gotta learn how to fucking suffer, man. Real talk. You don't like to suffer? Hey, this ain't for you. All right. This is 2 Chronicles chapter 36, verse 15. And the Lord Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, all right, power of their fathers, sent to them by his messengers, rising up betimes and sending, because he had compassion on his people and on his dwelling place. Verse 16. But they mocked the messengers of the Most High God Yahweh, and despised his words, and misused his prophets. And to the wrath of the Lord Yahweh arose against his people, till there was no remedy. All right, let me get that in the NLT. In the A, it says the ancestors, the true ancestors are the prophets. All right, the righteous ancestors, not no Rosa Parks, Martin Luther King or whatever, Malcolm X, Marcus Garvey, all these worldly ass people, all right, that believe in worldly doctrine. Nah, man, the true ancestors are the men of the Lord, the prophets of the Lord. 2 Chronicles 36 and 15, the Lord Yahweh, the power of their ancestors, repeatedly sent his prophets to warn them, for he had compassion on his people and his temple. But the people mocked these messengers of God and despised their words. They scoffed at the prophets until the Lord's anger, Yahweh, could no longer be restrained and nothing could be done. So ultimately, the only thing that can be done, death and destruction. That's how the Lord finalized the punishment, man. All right. Because, of course, the Lord whip our ass, putting us in slavery. All right. Putting us in, hell, great suffering. All right. So on and so forth. But a great death is coming upon Babylon the Great, man. America, man. All right. So without further ado, Salaki, I'm going to play the clip.
Was just driving past the gas station, and I seen this black man, my black brother, right? He had 4 big red gas containers. Y'all know the big red ones? He had 4 of them shits on the back of his pickup truck, and he was filling up all the gas and all that. Now, he did not have no long motor on the back of his pickup truck. He just had straight gas canners on the back of his pickup truck. And people are looking at him crazy. And I know who's the smart one and who's the people that don't know what the fuck is happening. See, that black man, he knows what's happening. He knows that strait's been closed for over 120 something.
But that man still don't have the covering. If you don't have the covering of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, you doing all that storing and saving for no reason. Let me finish 2 Esdras 9 and 1. He answered me then and said, measure thou the time diligently in itself, and when thou seest part of the signs past, which I have told thee before, then shalt thou understand that it is the very same time wherein the highest will begin to visit the world which he made. Therefore, when there shall be seen earthquakes and uproars of the people in the world, the latest earthquake that happened dealing with Venezuela. All right. And through the spirit and power of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, and hey, these when people start, calling us, crazy or whatever, you people do not know how dreadful and how crafty these Edomites truly are. They have the blessing of the sword. They have the wisdom, knowledge, and understanding on the left-hand side coming from Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, to do the most diabolical shit known to mankind. All right? These the same devils that poison our food, poison our water supplies. You don't think they have the technology to manipulate fucking weather? Cloud seeding, chemtrails, and that's just the one. Those are the small accounts, the small names and brands of their wickedness, and so on and so forth, man. So our people are gonna find out the fucking hard way, man. It's sad, but somebody got to play the 2/3. I'm just praying that I'm not, man. And that's a fearful thing. All right. I'm thinking of a precept, as brothers say, Matthew chapter 7, verse 21. All right. Matter of fact, let me just make sure. Just read it right quick. Just right quick. Matthew 7, verse 21. Not everyone that saith unto me, Lord, Lord, shall enter into the kingdom of heaven, but he that doeth the will of my Father which is in heaven. All right, we have to do the will of the Heavenly Father ultimately, man. All right, so you call yourself a Hebrew Israelite, you're not doing the work, or you just living your life in pure wickedness or whatever. Ultimately, we all have to answer and appear to the judgment seat of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shah. All right, whether, we did good or bad. That's 2nd Ezra chapter 5, not 2nd Ezra, Lord got Ezra on the brain. 2 Corinthians chapter 5, verse 10 on down to 11. And through Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shah, we persuade men. All right, it's not of our will. All right, all we do is give the message, give the warning. You believe it, that's Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shah trying to wake you up or waking you up. All right, but like I said, and it's so crazy because you can be one of them individuals that wake up just for a little season, just to go back into the world. Like I said, it's some scary shit. That's why you have to fear the Lord, man. Some scary shit, man. The Lord can really throw you back out in uttermost darkness once you come into this glorious light. And ultimately, you always got, because what it boils down to, you always have to remain humble. You got to always look yourself in the mirror like, man, I ain't shit, man. This is just a spiritual, glorious gift that Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shah bestowed upon me. And I have to use my talents and increase in it. I have to use my pennies and increase in it. All right, I have to continue to do the work. I have to continue to be brotherly. All right, so on and so forth.
Days, probably more than that. And America's not getting no gas. This dude is literally loading all the gas in them gas canners. It's because he knows exactly what's about to happen. And I'm just going about my day, going to the gas station store, buying me some water. Just got back from the gym. I know exactly what's happening. And all these old heads just looking like literally just staring at him. Why you doing that shit? I mean, he paid for that gas, so he probably paid hundreds of dollars for that gas, at least. But he was filling his truck up too with that. And then I'm just sitting there watching him, just chilling. I'm like, you go, brother. You go, because he knows the gas pumps are eventually being that we ain't got no gas coming from the Middle East. All the states in America are literally on their reserves, literally. So 4 weeks of gas, yeah. 4 weeks. Probably lower than that. Eventually, the gas pumps are going to shut off. If you're not preparing yourself, well, I don't give a damn how much you prepare with all the gas canners in your house. And first of all, you can't even store gas canners in your house full of gas anyway, especially in this hot heat. It's going to explode in your house, then what? So whatever he was doing with all that gas, because like I said, he didn't have no lawn motor. So evidently, he's stocking up with some gas. Because he already know. Who knows? He probably got a cool place to keep the gas. But look, it's coming. You ain't gotta believe it. You can say, oh, it's not, this and that. Trump gonna make it all better for us. He said we got plenty of gas. Yeah, y'all keep believing what this dude has to say. Like, y'all don't really do your own goddamn research. Y'all don't even do it. Y'all just believe what the white man say. The white man say. Your own government. Which they all against you. Against us all. But y'all still think, oh, everything gonna go back to normal. The strait gonna reopen. This and that. But look here. That's what 2 ships definitely got out of there. But guess what? They're not coming here. They going to a different country. America ain't getting their gas. Y'all gonna wake up and go to a gas station with your car. And you're gonna realize the gas ain't working. It says no gas. Then you go down the road 10 blocks away, another gas station. Warrior Farms gas station, no gas. And you go down 10 blocks again, maybe 20 blocks, and you happen to run into a 1 or 2 gas stations. No gas. And you might go down at least 40 blocks down and you might find another gas station. And you will see a whole big line of cars hogging up that one gas station. It's a red flag right then and there. But most of y'all, just like the days of Noah, y'all gonna think, oh, it's just regular day. Regular day. Don't even care. Don't even know what's going on. But you just ran past 4 gas stations that had no gas and no gas.
And that's exactly how it's going to be, as in the days of Noah, or Noe, as it say in the scriptures. All right. They was given into marriage. All right. They were eating and drinking. You know, all things continue. And it's the same thing going on in America, man. All things are continuing. Like I said earlier, people can still go out on trips. They can still so-called get paid. The Federal Reserve, you know, the Federal Reserve notes are still the #1 currency dealing with this paper dollar. All right. This fiat currency. But sooner or later, and it's been talks on that. And that's another video. That's another topic for another video. The CBDCs, digital currency. That's all going to link to the RFID, the micro. There's this system, man. And if you're not part of the system, just classify yourself as a homeless person. Barely getting meals. Don't have a place to stay. But it's crazy because even with that being said, it seemed like them homeless people still got weight on them, even though some are skinnier than others. They got weight on them. All right. Some of them, you know, really, you know, hypothetically speaking, they still don't really be stinking like that. They ain't really be, you know, fucked up, even though they're homeless. They don't really have a pleasant home or you know, a stable income. But the Lord still find a way for them to eat, for them to sleep, so on and so forth. All right. How much more in the times of Jacob's trouble? The Lord is going to increase his servants, the prophets, man. And I'm thinking of that precept in Isaiah 65 and 13 on down to 14. His servants shall eat, and ye shall be hungry. His servants shall drink, and ye shall be thirsty. All right, the ones that gave a sacrifice to serve Yahweh B'Shem Yahweh Shai is going to be protected when needed the most. And we're already praying, and, you know, brothers should continue to pray for that, to pray for protection, guidance, no matter, you know, what type of good job you got, no matter, you know, you got stable income. All right. That's by the grace of the Lord that you're not homeless. You're not digging in trash cans, being a beggar. All right. Give me poverty nor riches. All right. You got the A. And that's what a lot of people do not want to live life upon. just being sustainable. Niggas want to really keep up with the Joneses, especially you women. You women do that dumb shit, bro. You women always try like, but that's just they mind frame. They live in a fantasy world. Their world is full of imaginations. So that's why, as a man, you feed them imaginations. If you catch my drift, you know, as a young man, you know, being in the flesh from time to time, you got to get that yearning off your back. You know, as some brothers say, that thirst off your back. Hey, you got to finance some shit. You feel me? Like, it's just the truth. But getting back to the lesson, man, you know, it's not about that. But you women, man, you women live in that type of mind frame. La La Land, fantasy world, dream worlds. All right, dream world, dream girls. You know? But sooner or later, hey, the reality is going to kick in. You're going to need a man for protection. And you women are the weaker vessel. And men are obligated. And there's nothing against, you know, there's nothing wicked against a man, you know, having more than one woman at the end of the day. Because that, it's a natural thing. I'm pretty sure all the animals in the kingdom don't sit around and just be with that one female animal. All right. So how much more us, man? And we're over the animals.
Don't scream a red flag to y'all knuckleheads. Oh yeah, that sure raised a red flag to me. If I drive past 4 gas stations, there's no gas. I'm gonna say, oh shit, something happened here. And then you come across this one gas station and got a whole line of cars trying to get to that gas. 2 red flags. But guess what? I can make so many videos back and forth about the same topic. Be very entertaining as well. And y'all knuckleheads not gonna never understand until it's too freaking late. Because you still trust the word of your government, the news. The news don't want you to know the gas right now. They don't want to know. They're like, shh, don't tell them shit. Let's just keep lying to them. Let's keep lying. And then they're gonna keep lying to you at the very last second. And eventually all the gas pumps in the damn area of your state is off. No gas. To be honest, guys, I had not seen no big rigs out here carrying them damn gas. I have not seen them on the road, guys, for the past 2 weeks. Guys, I'm dead serious. Ain't got no gas to pick up at the port.
I got another preset I was thinking about. I'm going to go ahead since I'm right here. 2nd Ezra chapter 8, verse 50. For many great miseries shall be done to them in the latter time, shall dwell in the world, because they have walked in great pride. Hey, great miseries is coming. Babylon the Great. The only thing you got is to come back to the Lord. And the only ones that's going to come back to the Lord is the humble, fearful elect. The ones that's repentive, all right, serving the Lord, man, knowing that this is a wicked society, knowing that as long as we stay here, we're going to remain fucked up, dealing with the wickedness of this society, dealing with the flesh. All right, we're still going to, you know, die and perish, man. All right, you people, like I say, people should be tired of that, but they so used to these conditions, that's all they fucking know, man. Well, I tell you, but these different numbers and shit calling healthcare. Anyway, it's a lot. This is 2nd Ezra chapter 6 going into in the video with this brother, this dude said.
Gas. To be honest, guys, I had not seen no big rigs out here carrying them damn gas. I have not seen them on the road, guys, for the past 2 weeks.
And sooner or later, they ain't never gonna hit the road. 2nd Ezra chapter 6 and 22. And suddenly shall the sown places appear unsown. The full storehouses shall suddenly be found empty. That's going into your local markets and grocery stores. All right. And that, like I said, people do not know how terrible it's going to fucking get in Babylon the Great. They do not know because they still trust in this place. And our people, you know, not just our people, the American people have never seen, you know, shortages on food, gas, running out of gas, so on and so forth. Like I say, prime examples, Venezuela. And I still remember the times when I was in school, Venezuela was going through an economic crash to the point people was eating out of trash cans, bro. You know? So this thing been was going on since like the mid 2000s, 2014, 15, 16, or whatever the case may be. This shit been was going on, you know? So sooner or later it's going to be completely empty, especially when that time of destruction really happens upon Babylon the Great. And suddenly the sown places shall be unsown, the full storehouses shall suddenly be found empty, and the trumpet shall give a sound which every man heareth, they shall be suddenly afraid. Amos chapter 3 and 6. That's a precept to what I just read in 2nd Ezra chapter 6 and 23. 24 is a good point too. And at that time shall friends fight one against another like enemies, and the earth shall stand in fear. With those that dwell therein, the springs of the fountains shall stand still, and 3 hours they shall not run. All right. And that's ultimately death and destruction that's going to happen, man. All right. Friends are going to fight like enemies. And just like it was a scene on Civil War, it was a guy, even though he said that I went to school with the guy, me and him never talked really much, but he knew of the guy. And he had him and this other individual strung up because they was looting. All right. Trying to steal the things that they had. All right. The movie Civil War, man. Because that's ultimately what's coming to Babylon the Great, but 20 times worse. Matter of fact, 144,000 times worse, man. This shit about to get cracking. But meanwhile, you still got our people, they don't know the name of the Lord. The RFID is not the MARK. All right, it's sleeping with white women. It's sin. It's worshiping the picture of Cesare Borgia or Borgia, however you pronounce it. But it's not that physical mark that they're gonna put upon all people on the planet Earth. And matter of fact, since this video is about to end, I'm gonna go into another video. The hopeful. Going to another video. I believe it's on this brother's channel. Yep. So let's watch this.
Okay, check this out. More birth pains popping up everywhere. We have in Idaho and Wisconsin, it's snowing. It's June 30th, people. It's snowing in Idaho and Wisconsin. In Europe, you have a heat wave going through that's already killed 1,500 people, 109 just in the last 24 hours. Yeah, the heat wave here in America now. Now they're telling us we're running out of fresh water. They don't want it. In certain places, you can't do your laundry. You can't go ahead and bathe. You can't go ahead and, if you do use water, you can't use to wash your dishes. You can't use anything, swell up your swimming pools, none of that. Why? Glad you asked. All because of their new data centers. They're popping up everywhere across the United States. And the problem with these data centers, a lot of people are fighting them because they're coming in, they're buying people's homes, they're taking them out. If you don't want to sell, too bad, they're going to take it anyway. They throw money at you and bulldoze your house. The importance to get these put up so fast, so quickly is monumental across the United States, and it's the water. The water is the problem. And the reason why is because the computers. that run these data centers have to be soaked and put in these pools of water. It can't be salt water out in the ocean because salt corrodes the motors and grinds them up, locks them up, and they're useless. It has to be fresh water, fresh drinking water. And there are a lot of states in the United States are now suffering, and a lot of rivers are drying up now because of these data centers. They're piping in for these data centers, and these motors are so big they have to be put in these pools of water. And just to give you a scope of just one of these data centers, the biggest one right now is in Utah, and I'm reading off my notes now. Is the biggest one in the United States so far. You can sit almost 10,000 super Walmarts in this area. That's how big. It's twice the size of Manhattan, 40,000 acres of land, and about 162 square miles of land. To give it another scope, you can put 25,000 Olympic swimming pools in this area and have room for parking. Not a problem. They're trying to average 2 in every state. They're being built, like I said, all over the world as well. But that's the biggest one right now is in Utah. Now they're trying to go ahead and build one in. They already got one in Ohio, but they're trying to build another one in Pinkerton. I've been told. A little birdie told me it's in Pinkerton, southern Ohio, somewhere, and that's weird because there's a lot of mountains up there. So I don't know where they're gonna, unless they start shaving off mountains to do it. I don't know. It's supposed to be bigger than the one that's in Utah. And people are already yelling about it. And they have a right to yell about it. I mean, you're taking our drinking water for something that's not even being used. It doesn't even
And it's
really
dealing with the data centers. Salakia. It was the reality rulership. It was the game was I think it was in this one. The other one.
The reality is when you
Arrows of Indignation. It was on his channel. Okay. Here's the video. Never. When Esau admits Babylon can't be trusted and will never recover from falling. Yeah, man. Hey, it's a fucking wrap, man. It's over for this place. This place ain't bouncing back. You know? I'm trying to think of a precept to go into. Let's get Amos right quick, because I did thought about that. Amos chapter 5 and 18, I'm right here. Woe unto you that desire the day of the Lord, Yahweh, to what end is it for you? For the day of the Lord, Yahweh, is darkness and not light. All right, you can read Ezekiel chapter 12, verse 22 on for the precept. Verse 19, as if a man did flee from a lion and a bear met him, or went into the house and leaned his hand on the wall and a serpent bit him. Shall not the day of the Lord Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, be darkness and not light, even very dark and no brightness in it? And that's the day of the Lord. And the ones that desire the day of the Lord, it's not talking about the elect. It's talking about these people that's in the Christian church, these people of the world that think that it's going to be a easy, process entering into the kingdom. All right. And then on top of that, they believe everybody can enter into the kingdom of heaven. All right. Which is another false idolatry. All right. Well, false ideology. Salakia, a false ideology, a false idea of breaking down other scriptures. OK. So, because at the end of the day, us being the hopeful elect, we know how terrible this day going to happen. But it has to come in order for righteousness to be delivered. I mean, in order for righteousness to be established. All right. And for the elect to be delivered. Ultimately. And it was another precept. I'm going to go into, I think it's Joel or Zephaniah. Probably Zephaniah. Yeah, Zephaniah. Salaki. Going to Zephaniah. Then I'm going to play the video. Yep, Zephaniah. Con. Play the video.
What we're really seeing is the end of the American empire. And a lot of this relates not just to the military side of America, but
this is
also
a economist. All right, a top economist. The shocking reason America will collapse soon. Top economist. And this is coming from the mouth of Esau Edom. Psalm 64 and verse 8. All right, his tongue shall fall upon himself. America's finished, man. Kahalai Amla Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shah, man. We ain't got to fucking suffer no more. Even though we still got to go through Jacob's trouble. We still got to go through the hour of temptation. Man, just have faith in the Lord, man. We almost out this bitch, yo. Like, real talk. We're going to real life enjoy righteousness. We're going to enjoy life, man. All right. Even though, yeah, hey, it may be seem scary, but hold on to your seats, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to be a hell of a bumpy ride. And through the spirit and power of Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shah, we going to survive, baby. All right. We, like I said, because like the brother said, we ain't fucking living. Like I said, we every day we eat contaminated foods, fakes foods, man. I just did a video on that shit. We eating fake food every fucking day, drinking poison ass water every fucking day, no matter how healthy you think you are. Even if you do your own shit, guess what? Esau Edom still got his hand in it. You trying to do your farming and everything like that, he'll tax the shit out you to the point you can't even afford to farm. How about that? Not saying, hey, anybody got the opportunity to farm, do it. All right, but you still got to go through the white man. So imagine a kingdom where you don't have to go through the white man. You don't have to pay to where you fucking live. You don't have to pay for what you eat. You don't have to pay for what you drink. You get what I'm saying? Everything gonna come back to righteousness, and that's what people fail to realize, bro.
relates to letting the manufacturing sector run down. And this is something which the West in general has done. There was an attitude after Maggie Thatcher and Ronald Reagan that the future advances of Western civilization would be in services, not in manufacturing. So they didn't think it was important to have a manufacturing sector. There was decisions to let manufacturing itself move to third world countries, including at the time China, and that we can maintain the design facilities in America. So we design in America and build in China. That makes America the dominant element. I think that's failed. China has managed to industrialize and develop not just the manufacturing capability, but the design capability as well. We are in the middle of a transition from a period in which America was the dominant economic and political power on the planet to where China is. And these things are always messy. And I think America, this is the end of the American empire. It's the beginning of Chinese economic and political domination of the planet. And the ironic thing is, and this is something which, to me, it's ridiculous, is that this should be the year that America celebrates its 250th anniversary. It's 250 years since the foundation of the American state, 1776 to 2026. This should be a period of celebration of that 250 years. You don't even see a mention of it, even from Trump, ironically. You would imagine that somebody who's as egotistical and narcissistic as him would love to be the president for the 250th anniversary. But rather than doing that and riding that publicity wave, he started this ridiculous, unnecessary war. And I think it means that the American empire is ending after 250 years. Oh, yeah, there's no return. If you call normal what applied before the invasion, the war against Iran, then normal will never return. And there's many factors behind this. For a start, previous military failures by America took decades. This failure is taking months. Okay. Secondly, previous military incursions like in Afghanistan, Iraq, Vietnam and so on didn't particularly damage the production facilities of the entire planet. This one is. We're cutting out something of the order of 10% of the global energy supply, 30% of 30% of fertilizer, It's the same of helium. Sulfuric acid supplies are being massively depleted. I think it's been done in such a clumsy way. It's affected so much of the world so badly that there will never be a time again where the rest of the world trusts America, because it isn't just a case of saying we can't trust Trump. It's also saying we can't trust the American political system to give rise to somebody as a leader who has judgment and has restraint. And on that basis, you do not allow a wild card like America to dominate the planet anymore. And as whatever people might think about the leadership of China and China's potential for expansionist policies, they, I think, are going to say anything is better than a system which can throw up somebody like Trump. You can't trust the American political system. Not only can you not trust Trump, you can't trust the American political system in the future. So America's status has been massively diminished by this. I don't think it'll ever recover.
Yep. There you have it. Hey, this place finished, bro. Salakia. I'm going to close out with this precept. This is the book of Zephaniah, chapter 1, verse 14 on down to 16. The great day of the Lord Yahweh is near. It is near and hasteth greatly. It's coming fast. Even the voice of the day of the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, the mighty man shall cry there bitterly. It's going to be great miseries. Even you tough guys, man. You men that have great pride, thinking that, you know, nobody can stop you. You know, that N-word, you know, shit like that. You can't be touched, or whatever the case may be. Hey, Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai know your deepest, darkest fears, man. And he's gonna bring that to light. All right, he's gonna bring it to life, man. And then on top of that, you're gonna have, through the spirit, you're gonna have all type of shit that most people have not seen ever before. That's gonna come to pass. All right. That's gonna manifest themselves in you know, by the way of the naked eye. All right, the eye of human, man. Mankind and womankind. Verse 15, that day is a day of wrath, a day of trouble and distress, a day of wasteness and desolation, a day of darkness and gloominess, a day of clouds and thick darkness, a day of the trumpet and alarm against the fenced cities and against the high towers. And those fenced cities and the high towers represents Babylon the Great America. All right, because ultimately this is the main place that's going to be destroyed, utterly destroyed, by the way of thermonuclear destruction. All right. And even dealing with the land of Israel, but the only difference is once that, you know, once that land received judgment and nuclear destruction, that land is going to be built back up by the ways of the heathens that's going to be under subjection underneath us, man, underneath the Hebrew Israelites, underneath God's chosen people. All right, because they are the heathens. They are our subjects. They are our slaves, our servants, man, through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. So with that, praying it was edifying, straight to the point. And close out, giving all praises unto Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, Bashem Rakak Wadash, and double honors to the elders and apostles, a great millstone that teach us this truth through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, Bashem Rakak Wadash. Until next time, shalom to the elect. Shalom, shalom.